Now let's take a look at the India history timeline. The first one is 70,000 to 50,000 BCE. First humans migrate to India. So Indian civilization is not a ancient civilization, it's a migration from Africa. The first human migrations out of Africa are thought to have taken place 70,000 years ago. Migrants gradually made their way down India's coast over a few thousand years. The migration was possible because sea level were 200 feet lower than they are now, allowing travel via long since submerged land bridges. The migrants' descendants have been identified by DNA markers as far north as Pakistani coast and as far south as the Kalar tribe on the Kerala um, coast in modern India, where entire villages share ancient DNA strains. Along India's west coast, there remain pockets of tribal peoples who may have descended from these first human migrations. Until the modern age, they have remained largely self contained, endogamous, marrying within the tribe, physically distinctive in appearance and outside the Hindu caste system. Many retain their own languages, which are distinct from the main northern and southern Indian languages groups. So, in the mainstream history, they keep proclaiming India is one of the ancient culture, ancient civilization, but it is not. It's migrants from Africa. Okay. So the second timeline is 3300 to 1600 BCE. Harappa arises in the Indus Valley civilization. Harappa was an ancient urban settlement of the Bronze Age, located near the former course of the Ravi River in northeast Pakistan, uncovered in the 1920s. Harappa and Mohenjo-daro, a similarly planned city situated further south near the banks of the Indus River, are considered part of the same vast civilization, the Indus Valley Civilization, which thrived from 2600 to 1900 BCE. Remnants of Harappa's citadel wall made of mud brick are still visible, even though many of its bricks were plundered during the construction of a railway in the 19th century. Archaeological excavations indicate that the city's granaries were situated north of the citadel, while a cemetery was located to itself. Similar to the other cities of the Indus Valley civilization, the streets were laid out in a grid-like pattern, running either north to south or east to west. The settlement's flat roof homes and one or two stories featured indoor plumbing that connected to a highly developed drainage and waste removal system. Painted pottery, bronze and copper tools, terracotta figures, and numerous inscribed stamped seals decorated with animal motifs and are among the artifacts that have been unearthed at Harappa and Mohenjo-daro. Even with these finds, the identities of the city's rulers remain in doubt. So let's take a look. This is the Indus Valley civilization. And compared to today's map is Pakistan and a little bit of India. So Meghne is Pakistan. Okay. But let's take a look at this region. It's right along the Himalaya mountain range, which is, my guess, is the one of the fallen angels chained under these mountains. If you watched my previous video, you understand what I'm talking about. So this mountain range, Himalaya mountain range, is right along here. Nepal, India, Pakistan, Afghanistan, Tibet is here, China. Okay, so let's take a look at the map first. Here you go. The first upper part here, Himachal, I don't know how to pronounce that, Pradesh, is a northern Indian state in the Himalayas. It's home to scenic mountain towns and resorts such as Dalhousie. Host to the Dalai Lama, has a strong Tibetan presence. This is reflected in its Buddhist temples and monasteries, as well as its vibrant Tibetan New Year celebrations. The region is also known for trekking, climbing, skiing areas. So this region is, let's see, heavily affected by the Buddhist Tibetan culture. So the lower part here, Uttarakhand, a state in northern India forested by the Himalayas, is known for its Hindu pilgrimage sites. Rishikesh, a major center for yoga study, was made famous by the Beatles' 1968 visit. Okay, so we need to remember the second one is yoga. Yoga and the Tibetan Buddhism. Okay. The city hosts the evening Ganga Arati, a spiritual gathering on the sacred Ganges River. Sorry, my pronunciation. The state's forested Jim Corbett National Park shelters Bengal tigers and other native wildlife. Bengal tigers also is featured in the iPad Go 2, I think, on the jacket, back of the jacket of that girl. Okay, so the third timeline, 2000 to 1500 BCE, migrations of Indo-European speakers into India. Okay, so before I go into this, we take a look at the Indus Valley civilization definition. Also known as Indus civilization, was a Bronze Age civilization in the northwestern regions of South Asia, lasting from 3300 BCE to 1300 BCE, and in its mature form 2600 BCE to 1900 BCE, together with ancient Egypt, Mesopotamia. It was one of the three early civilizations of the Near East and South Asia, and of the three, the most widespread. Its sites spanned an area from much of Pakistan to northeast Afghanistan and northwestern India. So technically, the Indus Valley Civilization and all the migration from Africa, the first two timelines, are much of Pakistan. It's just a little bit touch of India. Okay, remember that. So there are three things we need to remember right now. Is the first one is the Himalayas mountain range that is heavily affected by the Buddhism from Tibet. The second one is yoga practice area, yoga study area. The third one is the first two migration. The first one is from Africa, and then now this development of Indus Valley civilization is much of Pakistan, just a little bit of India. Okay, three things. I will explain why later. So the Indus Valley civilization was roughly contemporary with the other Rifarian civilizations of the ancient world. Ancient Egypt along the Nile, Mesopotamia in the lands watered by the Euphrates and the Tigris, and China in the drainage basin of the Yellow River and the Yangtze. Right here at the bottom. The civilization extended from Pakistan, Balochistan in the west to India's western Uttar Pradesh in the east, from northeastern Afghanistan in the north to India's Gujarat state in the south. So here clearly state Pakistan, Afghanistan, and then India, okay? So now we look at the third timeline, 2000 to 15,000 BCE, migrations of Indo-European speakers into India. Indo-European languages are a language family native to the overwhelming majority of Europe, the Iranian plateau, and the northern Indian subcontinent. Some European languages of this family, English, French, Portuguese, Russian, Dutch, and Spanish, have expanded through colonialism in the modern period and are now spoken across several continents. The Indo-European family is divided into several branches or subfamilies, of which there are 8 groups with languages still alive today: Albanian, Armenian, Balto-Slavic, Celtic, Germanic, Hellenic, Indo-Iranian, and and another 9 subdivisions that are now extinct. So let's take a look. Pre-colonial era is Eurasia and Northern Africa. So remember that the Northern Indian subcontinent are the migrants from Africa. So technically, it's English, French, Portuguese, Russian, Dutch, Spanish, and at that time the African language. I don't know what they speak. So right here is a list that you can take a look. Today, the individual Indo European languages with the most native speakers are English, Hindu, Urdu, Spanish, Bengali, French, Russian, Portuguese, German, Punjabi, each with over 100 million native speakers. Many others are small and in danger of extinction. So now let's take a look of this map, how the Indo-European language dispersed through India to uh, Central Asia to north of India and over Pakistan, Afghanistan. So you can see the languages, the map, how they migrate. Iranians, then bird culture is the Iran and then Pakistan, Afghanistan, and just north of India. Technically, the Indian culture is not from India. It's from Africa, from Europe, Iran, in much of the Pakistan and Afghanistan. Remember, one of my previous videos stated that India, they promoting this country over the past decade or so is just because of Satan cast out from heaven and landed in India. So that's why they claim that Indian civilization is one of the ancient civilization, but it's not. It's the migrants migrate to North India, okay, mostly from Iran and then Pakistan, Afghanistan, and heavy influenced by Tibet right here, okay. So then let's take a look at this map. So here clearly state that India speaks Iranian. Ancient India, Vedic Sanskrit speakers viewed the term Arya as a religious linguistic category, referring to those who spoke the Sanskrit language and adhered to Vedic cultural norms, especially those who worshiped the Vedic gods, took place in the sacrifices and festivals, and practiced the arts of poetry. Here is the map during the late Vedic period. So right here, the line here is up, here is Pakistan, down here is India, here is Afghanistan. So technically this culture is divided into three: Pakistan, Afghanistan, and India. So this is the Himalayas mountain range, Tibet, Iran, okay,